Welcome back to Set Sail with Grace Harbor. I'm Jessica Blomgren. I'm not the captain. I'm just a deckhand that gives penny tours. This is Genesis chapter 35, 36, and 37. These are incredibly difficult chapters to navigate when put together. They're very different from one another, so I'm going to do each one as its own segment, and instead of me drawing my own line between them, I'm going to let the faithfulness of God be the line that goes between all of them. Chapter 35. I've always seen the idols in the Hebrew camps as insane. God himself is talking to you and directing you. How do you allow such things in your camp? But it hit me here. They're no different than I am today. I might not have a wooden carved idol or a stone that I pray to, but there are things in my life that take a higher priority than they should. When anything takes either the place of God or takes away from the glory of God, then that is an idol. When Jacob removed all the idols from his camp and buries them, God loved his faithfulness. God put a terror into the hearts of those who were around him. It wasn't because Jacob needed to earn God's favor. He already had it. It was because Jacob was obedient and God was fulfilling his promises. God is more faithful than we can ever be unfaithful. All right, moving forward. God renames Jacob Israel. Then he reestablishes the covenant with him. Jacob set up stones of remembrance. Basically, a stone of remembrance is a recall device for memory. Anytime you see it or get near it, you go back to why it was placed there. Here is one of mine. This is a real silver bracelet I had made as a stone of remembrance. It is a chain because I am a slave and captive to Christ, but it is silver because I am part of Christ's royal priesthood. I am the daughter of the King of the universe. So every time I look at it, I am reminded I am both of these things. I am precious in his sight and bound by his grace for his purposes. Do you have any stones of remembrance? Something that reminds you of God's faithfulness or a reminder of prayer. This chapter records the death of several people and the birth of a new and last son. That's a lot for Israel to bear. More on that later. Chapter 36. There will be a test later to see if you can pronounce all of the names listed here. Grades will be posted publicly. Oh, maybe not, but if having perfect pronunciation is required, I failed too. It's not nearly as important as knowing why the names appear in Scripture. So why are they listed here? First, God promised Abraham that many nations would come from him. Here are so many of those promised people. But also, here's the evidence of mercy, long-suffering, and justice of God. Esau sold his birthright to Jacob fair and square for a bowl of soup. He threw away a birthright, a gift from God for a single moment of temporary satisfaction. He shouldn't have received anything, yet God is always faithful to fulfill his promises. Isaac blessed Jacob, and God honored his servant Jacob. Instead of being cut off, Esau produces chiefs and nations himself. He and his people become so big they must separate from Jacob because the land can't sustain both groups. So seeing how much Esau prospers, at least here, we see the faithfulness of a God who reigns on the just and the unjust, because God is just. Chapter 37. Here we are with Joseph. He seems like a good kid, obeying his father, trying to share the dreams he's having, but man oh man does it totally backfire on him. His brothers want to kill him, and they end up selling him off to Egypt. There is no comfort for Jacob. We just saw he lost his parents, his wife, the nurse to his wife, and now Joseph. Jacob has had enough sorrow and cannot be comforted. It seems to me that if Joseph was sold into slavery, it's not likely he would have a good outcome. And yet, the faithfulness of God shines through in this chapter too. It's the twist of the story. Joseph didn't die at all. In fact, now he's the property of an Egyptian captain of the guard. All right, So bonus material for family discussions or in the comments below. Go back and hunt down in these chapters anything else that sounds like it relates to Jesus. Hint, was anybody else ever sold for pieces of silver? And was anybody else harbored in Egypt? Alright, also, can you find any other parts of these stories that share the faithfulness of God? And lastly, please share your stories of remembrance, your stones of remembrance. They're so encouraging to other people, and they inspire their faiths too. Y'all have a great day, and I am really excited for all of us to continue reading together.